bodies like crack, and I mean, even though they're little, I mean, I love it. Little ones today, but he was greedy. He came back for seconds. You know, I fished down on the south end twice and didn't hardly catch crap, so I came up here where at least I get to set the hook a lot today. It's a better one. They are so thick, man. All these fish up here have that stripe going down them right here. Beautiful. Small one. Little one, but exactly where he was supposed to be. Like that's the kind of stuff I run and gun all day in tournaments. Golly. Now, if you hold a bass right there on his gill plates, just right in front of them fins, he will never move. That works for largemouth and spots. Smallmouth will still move. If you hold him by the mouth, he'll flop. Hand slipped off the reel. That was the next cast after that last one. But he's little. But you know, me and my buddy Randall came up here fishing yesterday and we didn't catch anything down the south end. So I said I'm gonna come up here and at least set the hook a bunch today. So that's what we're doing. Well, it felt like he hit that thing with a baseball bat. Popped up. Boom. Awesome. Another little one, but we set the hook a lot. Okay, so I for sure think I've got the most questions on flipping, and that's like my favorite way to fish. So I'm gonna show y'all my exact setup. So this is what I flip wood with. This is a 7'6" heavy Corrado 70 XG. That's a 8.2 to 1 gear ratio and 20-pound fluorocarbon. Now, the actual business end, that's a 3/8 ounce weight. There's not much wood left in the water, So whenever it's like that, I go to a lighter weight. Just makes you fish a little slower. There's a lot of wood in the water and a lot of bushes and stuff. I go to a half just because it sinks faster. You get that many more flips throughout the day. What you typically want to do is use the lightest weight you can get away with that gets through the cover. So basically, the thicker you're fishing, you obviously can't use a 3/8. Sometimes like in grass, you gotta use an 1.5 ounces. But this is a 3/8. This is a snell knot. That's the bobber stop. And the reason you tie snell knot is because when you set the hook, it jacks that hook out like that. And that's a straight shank trocar. You have to use a straight shank trocar for flipping. I mean, you get way better hookups. It's just not even close. You can put any kind of beaver bait on there, or any kind of like brush hog, big bite baits, make a fighting frog. All those kind of baits are really good for flipping. But you want to flip stuff that has a canopy, even bushes. You want to look for bushes that are greener with leaves, blocks the most sun, and it's got to have bottom contact. If it's a bush that just touches the top of the water, you're not going to get very many bites out of that. It needs to touch the bottom and have a good canopy. Now, grass obviously has a really good canopy, but it's real thick. And this is a 7'6" heavy. I use a heavy for flipping hydrilla, and the reason I do that is because a heavy loads a little bit more than an extra heavy. And whenever you're fishing hydrilla, a lot of times you'll set the hook and it'll actually rip the grass, and you really need that rod to load. If the rod is, you know, more powerful and more fast, it's not going to load as much, and when you rip that grass, your line's going to go slack easier. So basically, the lighter rod that you use, you're going to load it more, but then you're not going to be able to pull them out of the stuff. So heavy for me is the best mix for hydrilla, because hydrilla is soft. Hydrilla is not that hard to get them out of, and so I don't have to go to a bigger rod. And this is an 1.5 ounce weight. It's kind of beat up, but I got a punch skirt on there, and the punch skirt is pretty thin by now. But the same thing with that snell knot. That big weight, whenever you set the hook, it hits the fish in the top of the mouth and jacks it out just like that. Now, these are Hog Tech tungsten, and with this one, I like the bigger reel for punching. I like having that bigger handle. It just, like I said, whenever you rip that grass, a lot of times stuff's happening very fast and lines moving, and I just never ever want to miss the handle. So I like having these bigger handles. It feels like I have more power whenever I'm grinding on them to get them out. And that's pretty much my flipping setup. On this, I use 65-pound braid, and I don't use the rough braid like Power Pro, because when it's going through the grass, it makes a sawing noise and like grinds. So I use something soft. I think you get more bites like that. The problem with soft braid though is it turns white quicker. But that's my two main flipping rods. I vary it up a little, and sometimes I flip a jig, but that's only in the pre-spawn when the water's in like 55 degrees. That's when a jig bite really turns on. But whenever the water turns 52, the crawfish come out of hibernation generally. So whenever that's the case, I'm always flipping a jig. I put this down, and I'm only flipping a jig that time of year. But if y'all like that, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe.